Hey everybody, this is IACommand, Noah here, better known as TV Boy, and I have a very special guest with me today, world's top 16 finisher, Steven Rinsma. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, thanks for having me on, Noah.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us and talking about this game that you played in the top 8. And before we start, I just want to say thank you, special thank you, not just for coming on to talk about the match here, but also for becoming a Patreon and also encouraging me to get that information out there to people because I kind of just do this for the love and I forget that it costs me a lot of money to do this.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I think you've been putting out some of the best IA videos right now, and it's been awesome to follow along and also prepping for Worlds. It was great to kind of watch some games and see what other people were doing.
Oh, well, thank you. And I also want to thank, on this video, I also want to give a special thank you to Fabio Mazzucli, Grzegorz Siska, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, Matt Froome, Sean Hillen, and the Zion's Finest podcast. They have all become Patreons in the last week, and I just want to thank you all for supporting the channel. It means so much to me that you guys feel like I'm putting out good enough content that you would want to help out with my expenses, and I really appreciate you guys doing that. Also, at the end of this video, I'm going to be announcing the first set of giveaway winners and reading their comments out loud. So definitely stay for that afterwards. All right, so let's
Awesome,
talk
yeah,
about this match. Um,
yeah, man.
yeah, so
Definitely, Vader has been sort of the bane of my existence in the regional season, so I was pretty nervous going to this game. Yeah,
you're playing against European national champion Arvydas on the left.
yeah, and he was running a 7 act, I think,
Mm-hmm.
BPT list, or was it 8 act?
Yep, and it looks like
Seven, yeah.
and you're running Han's Heroes with Ahsoka instead of Drakata.
Oh yeah, she did work on the day, so it was awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, it seems like she would be a good choice against the Spectre Cell, being able to re-roll the defensive dice on attacking, and also having a white dice so she can dodge, which is good against all that pierce instead of Drakata's black dice.
Yeah, they both survive. I think someone mathed it out to 2 attacks normally against an SC, and if you can dodge one of those, then you're looking at 3, maybe even more attacks.
Yep. And so we looks like the match has started right away here. It looks like you started off. You have initiative round one, and it
Yeah,
looks like and we're playing on the Tarkin weapons map, if I'm remembering correctly.
yep. This is
And
weapons.
yep. And so R2, you use R2 to draw a card. I believe Arvidas discarded Celebration for Rule by Fear when he drew his two to discard one. And
Yeah,
then it looks like he went with Thrawn actually as one of his earlier activations, and I think he took away your take initiative right with his strategic.
yes, yeah. He hit me with Thrawn's discard, then foresee, and then he played planning. So he dug super deep in his deck, and
Yes,
also got rid of a lot of my good cards.
yeah, and so he discarded your primary target, I think, with the foresee. So
Yes, yeah,
he's gone 5 cards deep into his deck, I think, on top of his 3 card starting hand at this point.
yeah. With Rule by Fear.
Because
Yeah,
he just played planning too with Thrawn.
yeah. And now he's sort of just positioning Vader forward with his officers and kind of getting him into a threatening position right now.
Yep, using those officers, and so for looking at your list, it looks like you decided to use the 2 points for a smuggler instead of something like Rebel High Command to get to 8 activations instead of 7. And seven's been
Yes, yeah,
yeah, seven's been kind of the minimum since Spectre Cell's at 6, but you went out of your way to get to 8.
yeah. Actually, Matt Froome, who's was sort of my playtester at the end. We both were testing out different Rebel lists against Spectre Cell, and he really, really liked the 8 act list. And just because to get the smuggler to grab weapons on this map, um, and also another person who can play set for stun was sort of his idea, which is cool.
Mm. Oh yeah, that's true. And they're really good on this map too, like you were saying, because you can pick up that weapon and get some movement points from that too.
Yes,
Um,
yeah, and
uh-huh.
right now he's opened his door, so I'm pretty nervous about where Vader can go. So that's what you'll see me constantly like counting out where Vader is, how far 8 spaces away is.
Ah, yes. So always kind of thinking about how far can Vader get, because he could double move Vader, and then get an end of round attack with him that way.
Yeah, and I think from the very beginning of the game, I had slippery target, so I wasn't as afraid to put one of my people forward here, like putting Ahsoka because she's a spy, she can use slippery. Um, and
Ooh.
also, Arvydas is asking here if Ahsoka can jump over the solid red lines, which she can't. So he was just trying to
Mm,
make sure I couldn't leap in and attack.
I see. Yes. Um, and we've seen Arvidas on the channel before. Slight spoiler for those who have seen our semifinals video coverage. That was Arvidas in that video, and not Steve. So, bit of a spoiler
Yes,
for
yeah.
this game. But and again, we really appreciate you coming on to talk about this game because I thought this was a really good match. I watched it and I just thought, wow, this is like a lot of good play, solid play by both of you, and a good back and forth.
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun, and I think there was a few swing moments, but we both kept ourselves like in the game. My focus was just try to hit Vader with as many hard attacks as I could,
Hmm.
and most of the battle resolves around me just trying to hit Vader a little bit and him using his unmitigatable damage. Force chokes, force lightnings.
Yes. Let's see. So it
I,
looks, and you also had rebel, what we like to call rebel landing gear. You've got Hera in there along with 3PO and Gideon, and it looks like you focused up Han and Ahsoka so far.
yeah, sort of just using them as threats because Han can kind of keep Vader from like totally dive bombing in if he's focused. Uh, and Ahsoka, just with her focus, she can pretty much get almost like about half of this map is within her threat range.
So tell me kind of what your opening strategy is for this map and for this matchup.
So for this map, I definitely want to get a weapon in Ahsoka's hands because then she can pretty much kill any of the lesser figures in one shot. She can threaten like an end of round, start of round attack. Um, but at this point, I've lost take initiative, so that made it a little bit more riskier gamble. And she can also punch damage through with Vader, which when I only have two Pierce figures, it gets kind of hard to really hit through Zilla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so do you usually go last with Han or with Ahsoka? Because with Han, you really like to
I,
go last to set up that end of round shot, right?
yes, on this map against Vader, typically I'll go last with Han,
Okay.
but especially in some of the other matchups against like Spectre Cell, I was trying to use Ahsoka last to go, end of round, start of round, and get two attacks off and run away.
Okay, yeah, because I've played a lot of Han and Ahsoka lists in the past, and I've always found that they kind of both struggle for that last activation. Han wanting to get it so he can have perfect information with his end of round shot, but Ahsoka wanting that last activation because she is a bit fragile, so you don't really want to put her out there where an opponent could counterattack.
Yes, definitely, especially with Vader. Vader can eat her alive if you roll poorly.
Yeah, and so let's see. It looks like Arvidas has gone with both officers. I believe that's the regular Death Trooper in the middle hallway there by the terminal that he's activated.
Yes, and his elite's sort of hiding behind his door at the bottom.
Right, and you opened your door to what I call the treehouse with Hera. Is that correct?
Yes, I when I use my setup, I try to get Hera by the door so then she can open it and fall back, sort of like
Mm-hmm.
what a lot of Spectre Cell players were doing.
Yeah, and so we're waiting for right now. Arvidas has the Emperor, the Elite Death Trooper, and Vader left to activate. And I
Yeah.
believe you have Ahsoka, Sabine, and Han left.
Yes, that's correct. And I just put that aligned smuggler up at the bottom. He didn't pick up the weapon. He's just standing there.
Okay, so here we go. So Palpatine is activating, and he puts a damage on the smuggler with Tempt. And he kind of basically
Yeah. So
starts with this doom clock on that poor smuggler. Uh,
yeah, and instead of C-3PO, he's ticking him down just because that's less points I probably can get from objectives and
mm,
possibly getting a weapon to stun someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and usually you see players putting it on 3PO, like you said, because they can't use the power token. But Arvidas, I think, is being a little more disciplined here and going for something that he's going to be able to cash in the points on sooner with that smuggler, basically putting him on a 3-turn clock. Um, and I
Yeah,
think
and
that's really
that
smart.
yeah, that's the right move there because that's how I'm gonna be able to try to stay in. Is if I can kill Vader, and I try to get some objectives that might give me the win. So that's
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna have to kill that objective guy.
Yep. So it moves Palpatine up. He's kind of moving all of his guys into that middle hallway. Doesn't really want to go into that Arboretum area where you can control the lines of sight. You activated Sabine here and moved her down into your bottom left of your deployment zone. Is there a plan with that?
So she can be seen by Gideon. I was a little afraid to stick her on the treehouse,
Mm-hmm.
just because Arvidas is probably running party below, and he probably can't one shot her, but he definitely can hit her and force choke her and probably kill her.
Yeah.
So I didn't quite want to advance forward, and Gideon can push her over the blocking terrain and still focus her, so she could kind of maybe get into the fight, which I try to do later.
Yeah. And then Arvidas activating his Elite Death Trooper, double moves up to the middle objective, putting him right between the middle objective and the two weapons. I really like that positioning for him. He's controlling the objective, and then he has the option of next round picking up one of the weapons and being able to attack down that middle corridor.
Yeah, and also it's going to set up. Arvidas is really good at body blocking with his lesser figures like officers and death troopers, which really, you know, denies shots for Han and or blocks Ahsoka from making an attack.
Yep, and you really need to do that as the VPT player to get your very limited number of hitters in undamaged into the fight. So Ahsoka's
Yeah,
activating here. She goes and steals the red weapon out from under the smuggler, but I don't think you had intended to have him pick that up anyway. And like you said, you really want Ahsoka to have that extra attack dice, right?
yeah, and the red or green or yellow are really good for her just to try to roll into some surges. And you don't mind over surging with Ahsoka because you can
Mm-hmm.
get that damage token, but
Yeah,
red is the best.
yeah, and yeah, red is the best. So now we're waiting for, I think, just Vader on Arvidas's side.
Yeah, and Arvidas has. I've kind of denied really uh, any really good force chokes. He could maybe run Vader to the bottom, so he's just thinking about where he wants to go and try to
Yep.
set up.
And I've seen in Arvidas's other games that he is very patient when it comes to Vader. He'll force choke for 2-3 turns even before he moves him in to start swinging. And I think that's why he was so successful in this tournament against all the
Oh yeah,
Spectre cells.
and he picked up a yellow weapon, which is a great idea because now he's probably always going to have surges to even through evades
Yep.
to get the surges through.
And with those power tokens too, like now he can just focus on giving Vader those defensive power tokens, and he doesn't have to clog him up with surge power tokens like people often do. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and he has also put him in a spot where he can move 2 spaces to look down that side corridor and force choke somebody.
yeah. He's got awesome positioning here. He can go towards my support figures, or he can look at Han if I decide to run forward and
Mm-hmm.
shoot down the hallway.
Yep, and like you said, he has also put Vader behind the Death Trooper in such a way that you can't draw line of sight to Vader without putting yourself way out of position in a very
Yeah,
dangerous spot. Because Arvidas knows that he's going to have initiative next round because he sees your take initiative there in the discard pile.
yeah.
So,
He's got a pretty safe. I could either like bum rush Han all the way down the hallway towards the hangar, but then I don't have a weapon, or grab a weapon, but I can't shoot Vader.
yep. And I really like your play here in the opening of just, picking up weapons for the rest of the round because the sooner you pick those up, the more benefit you're going to get from them. I think a lot of players, when they play this map, the weapons are just kind of like an afterthought for them, and they pick them up like in the mid game when the fighting dies down. But it's so important to get those early game.
Oh yeah, and then one thing to note here is at the end of round, I don't get to use the weapons because it's not an activation. So even though I
Yep.
have that yellow one, Han's just only getting a focus shot here.
Yep. And that's also true for Vader, but that's only if he attacks. So, all right. So this is the end of round one. So you've got 4 points for controlling those bottom two objectives. Arvydas gets 2 points for the middle objective. And since you have initiative, you do your end of round effects first.
Yeah,
And so even though you don't
and
really
I
want to,
think I. Oh, go ahead.
oh, I'm say, even though you don't really want to shoot at that Death Trooper instead of somebody else, like you don't waste your shot, right?
Actually, I totally waste the shot here because I believe I drew two tools, so I didn't mind throwing away the focus here,
Uh huh.
and I was hoping to one shot the elite Death Trooper, but I come up a little bit short here.
But you actually rolled really high. I think with the Zillow bonus, I think you only had like a 25% to one shot him just with a focus. I believe I looked at it on the calculator. But you rolled really high, but then he also rolled high on defense, so you end up being 1 point away. But he doesn't discard for Zillow, so he could have just also discarded for one more block. So needed two
Yeah, I
more
think
damage
what
there.
yeah, I believe what he's thinking is that if he takes a grenade with Sabine, he'd rather just not waste a card.
Yeah, but he didn't have to because he survived with 1 health. So
Yeah, the 3 block was really good there.
yep. So Vader moves down 2 spaces to force choke Han, and you discarded looks like Intel leak for the strain.
Yeah,
And
which
you really want to be. He does a really good job in this game of doing a lot of non-attack damage to Han, just to kind of prevent that on the lam.
yeah, exactly. That's he's going to slowly whittle away at Han's health, get him in one shot range of Vader, and also mill cards. Put me in a really tough position.
Mm-hmm. So we've got Arvydas with the first activation going into round two, and Han is kind of right there in his face, but it's always kind of tricky when the Han player puts Han in your face, because if you attack Han, you are just going to take a ton of damage in return, right? And Han can use that weapon on his return fire.
Yeah, that's correct. So that'll help me a lot. It's a yellow weapon, which is not as fun, but definitely going to make sure that I can re-roll maybe other dice for damage.
So Arvidas is in the tank here, deciding how he wants to approach this puzzle of Han Solo. And guys, I do want to apologize a little bit for my voice here. You probably noticed a little scraggly. I did get sick right after coming back from Adepticon, and I've still got a cough going, so apologize for that, but doing my best.
Yeah.
And let's
We
see.
appreciate your hard work, man. You've been doing great.
Um, so what? I mean, we know what he's gonna do here, but what's your plan of action for round two here?
Yeah, the I had the focused Ahsoka sort of ready to leap in or take advantage if he overextended with Vader here. I also had Slippery, so it was going to be difficult for him to get multiple attacks with Parting Blow off on Han.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I drew into on the lamb yet, but at least I knew I could get Han back if I needed to.
Yeah, I didn't realize you had slippery target in your deck. Are you running just the one copy?
Yeah, just one copy of Slippery because it works on both Han and Ahsoka and Hera because she's a spy. So it's kind of nice that it was just another defensive card that Ahsoka could use that was more surprise. It did save her in a game, which was awesome.
Yep. So Arvidas does activate Palpatine. Ticks down the clock again on the smuggler, putting him to 2 damage, 1 damage away from dying, and then moves him up and does a Force Lightning on Han. And I think this is the right move because you're getting free damage on Han. You're not triggering return fire. You put Han in a great spot where he can't be attacked without having line of sight to the attacker. And this also gives Han a weaken token, which will kind of make his counterattack a little bit softer.
Yeah, it was definitely a good opening. He didn't really have a good shot on Han without exposing someone. So I think it was the right move just to lightning me and
Yep.
uh,
But you've
set
got
up.
the Heart of Freedom here for Han on his activation.
Yeah,
So
and that gets her the weekend, and then I believe I shoot Vader here.
yeah, and this is going to be the big one. So not focused, but you've got the yellow weapon, so a yellow die, and then tools for the job. So this is a 5 dice attack.
Yeah, because I'd used the focused earlier, but yeah, definitely a really big punch here. I'm trying to put some damage on Vader.
And I think there's a third green in there. So six
Yeah, and I
dice.
I think it's five. I wasn't focused, right?
Yeah, I thought you had spent your focus, but it looks like we've got 6 dice in there. And I remember you rolling
I
six.
don't. Yeah, that was weird then.
Might have been just a mistake.
Yeah, that might have been a mistake on my part.
Thought he was focused. That's a lot. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
that
a
should
lot of
not have all the
dice.
damage.
So I believe Vader had a evade token from Thrawn. So I believe he took 7. Yep. So Vader takes 7 from that one,
Yeah,
and now you just move right on back, and that's kind of what you see Han
yep,
do a lot, right? Is you move him up aggressively, get your end of round shot. Next round, shoot, retreat back, and
fall
yeah,
fall back to the comforting embrace of C-3PO.
yep, and you got him right there next to C-3PO, so you can take advantage of distracting, which powers up Han's cunning ability. So perfect positioning there. And now Arvydas is just kind of doesn't really have much to do against you unless he goes and opens the door against R2D2.
Yeah, yeah, that was a bummer. I should have. I probably didn't take the focus token, so both of us missed that. So I feel bad, but
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a easy mistake to make, I think.
yeah,
All right, so now Arvidas kind of has to figure out what to do since there are no targets available. But you have to kind of give control of the middle to Arvidas. So now, if he wants to, he can just kind of start vacuuming up these weapon tokens.
yeah, I definitely have conceded the whole top of the map near the hangar, and the only one who really can strike anyone right now is probably Ahsoka.
And what's your kind of threat range for Vader or for any of Arvidas's pieces? Like, where are you kind of thinking like, okay, I need to stay this far away from
Yeah,
Vader?
yeah. For Vader, I was just more worried about with the yellow weapon. He pretty much can. I don't think he can one shot Ahsoka, but he probably almost can one shot Sabine. So that's why I was really cautious with Sabine really early and put her far south. Um,
Yeah,
and I kind of like putting all my support in a row there because it's sort of blocking really long range force chokes from hitting my main hitters at the bottom.
oh yeah, that's great. I see that. Kind of a human wall strategy, because
Yeah, sort of.
you don't care if those low health figures are taking force chokes because they get one shot anyway by all of Arvidas's figures.
Yeah, pretty much. The only one who might have a chance is R2.
But if Han gets whittled down, that puts him into one shot range, so you don't want him eating those incidental damages.
Yeah, and that was the other reason why I used Heart of Freedom there, just because I wanted to try to get Han healed up as fast as I could. And
Yeah.
because I think right now, technically, he is in. He could be, dark energied and then comboed where he's at right now.
Yeah, Vader does have a lot of movement card tricks that you kind of have to be aware of, and you have to always be thinking about that end of round two, just like with Han.
Oh yeah,
Um,
exactly. And here Arvydas did a really great move that's going to pay off soon. He sort of orders the Emperor by his unactivated officer.
yep. Okay, now this activation it looks innocuous, but I actually like this activation. So you activate R2D2 to draw a card, and then you move him up to the door, like to be adjacent to the door. And
Yeah,
when I first was watching
I
this, I didn't know what was in your hand, so I thought, well, that's kind of risky because, you know, you're putting him closer to Vader. He could, Arvidas could have one of his figures move up, open the door, and then Archie's in danger. But you're setting up for the next round with that activation. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, and I also like R2 can open the door
Yep.
and then shoot people,
Yeah.
so he can play set for stun, or he also can body block, so you can tuck Han south of R2 or Ahsoka south of R2, and now they're really close and also can get in the fight.
Yeah, you've created that nice little kind of hiding spot in that space just north of R2 where a figure can be there, shoot down the middle without them being able to shoot at that figure. And then because
Exactly.
R2 is there, you now on your next turn will be able to open that door if you need to and still have an action to either draw a card or do another action, which will pay off. We'll see
Yeah,
in the next round.
yeah,
And it's those it's the activations with the small figures being efficient with those that I think really helps you win these skirmish games. So we've got the elite death trooper now activating, moving up and taking a shot at R2D2, and it looks like he's got the accuracy he needs. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He got exactly the right accuracy, and
yeah,
he did 3 damage to R2D2. So, and it's interesting because if he had only moved him to be against that wall, he would have been one short. But he made sure to keep moving him so that he was doing a 6 range shot instead of a 7.
yeah. And by going that way, also he's now standing on another objective. So now he's sort of getting ready to camp more objectives and kind of also put me on the clock too.
Yep, and he knows that if you're not going to come to him, he needs to put pressure on you with those objectives.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So C3PO, I believe, refocused Han,
Yes, yeah, he focused on you,
and then
and I kind of keep the human wall.
you don't. Yeah, you decide not to move 3PO here. All right. So the regular Death Trooper moves up and takes that blue weapon. So I think, and also I think Arvidas is smart. He might have been tempted to have the elite one pick up a weapon, but because he's only got 1 health, it would probably not be that useful anyway. So better to just attack
Yeah,
with him while he's
definitely.
still alive.
Yep. And if R2, I he, the nice thing was I don't think he could have one shot R2 even with the token,
Yeah.
because of Lucky.
Yep. They don't hit that hard. They hit okay. The Death Troopers. They're a bit
Yeah.
inconsistent though. All right. So what is it? We're counting spaces here.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
So it's an interesting spot for Sabine. You could have moved her further into the middle with Gideon. Why
Yeah, I
why that
think that
spot?
was probably a mistake. Yeah, I should have pushed her more aggressively forward, like you're saying.
Oh, okay. Okay. But again, you're still thinking about how far can Vader move. And here we have Vader activating. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
a force choke on R2, and he knows you have to discard a card if you don't want to lose him. So comms disruption gets discarded. Is that a big card in this matchup? Comms disruption.
All that it's really probably going to be canceling is a negation or dark energy are the two big cards I'm looking to cancel with.
Okay. And negation not as big of a deal now that you've lost take initiative, but dark energy is a really big deal because just being able to push your figures is really strong.
So it was interesting here. Arvydas, by pushing his Vader back, he kind of was really torn on where to put him.
Mm-hmm.
But because he moves his Vader back here, it is going to let R2 live. But because I'll be able to body block him. Um, but if he had kept him at the very top, I would have lost R2, which is sort of kind of cascading into different things later.
Right, because then if Vader had stayed where he was, he could have moved 2 spaces out into the hallway to CR2.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be able to put somebody there to block his line of sight. All right,
Yeah.
so Sabine, very aggressive here.
Yeah, I was trying to think of getting a good grenade off, but then I'm kind of deciding where I can hit, and I then just go for hey, I need to keep hitting Vader with damage too.
And so you double moves and you move 7 spaces. At least you get the double damage.
Yes, yeah.
So 2 damage, 2 more damage on Vader, 2 damage on the Death Trooper. Sadly, not the one that had 1 health left. And then you move her back. But she is still pretty exposed to the Death Troopers and to Vader.
Yeah, and then this is actually where I get punished because Arvydas is about to play a really strong command card here.
Yep. So second officer readies Palpatine thanks to the first officer moving Palpatine over to be adjacent. Which number 1 advances poor Smuggler's doom clock one turn faster, and then number 2 is gonna see some damage on Sabine.
Yeah, it was interesting here. He's got a choice to either take out R2 when he uses the Emperor again, or the Smuggler. And I actually was curious. I thought he maybe should have taken out R2.
Yeah, I remember thinking that. So the if you think about it, he could have killed R2, gotten 3 points, denied you a command card.
That is, yeah.
Or killed the Smuggler, gotten 2 points, 1 point less, but prevented you from getting 2 points from that objective.
Which is a big swing. That is correct.
That's a 4-point swing on the Smuggler, 3 points on the R2.
And here I've run into the issue where my Ahsoka is slightly farther back than I could have diagonally moved her up towards the by the blocking terrain of the treehouse, and now I can't hit his Emperor with a focused red attack, and I can't get to anybody. So he's positioned well that Ahsoka's out of range.
I see. Right, because she can only jump 6 and then +2 movement.
Yeah.
So
instead of going with Ahsoka, I stall.
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying. Plus that you're going to lose that activation in just a second.
Exactly, yeah. I might as well just use it.
Or there's a 50-50 that you'll lose that activation.
Exactly, yeah. I'm either losing that activation or I'm losing R2.
Did you ever think of having him go and pick up the blue weapon and bring it closer to your other guys or anything like that?
I think that was actually something I could have done and set up on turn 1, move him 8 to the blue beside the blue weapon. But I sort of was being really conservative with my other figures.
Mm-hmm.
I maybe could have gotten it close to Sabine, and now Thrawn mills my negation, so I have no more cancellation of.
Yeah, and that one's rough too. So you lost your take initiative when you had initiative round 1. Now going into round 3, when you will have initiative, you lose your method to protect it of negation.
Yeah, which is now Sabine's really, really in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, Thrawn is just a jerk.
Yeah. And he's also getting Thrawn near those juicy green and red weapons, which makes him a monster.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he already hits hard as it is. So, all right, so Ahsoka. But I really like this play with Ahsoka, though.
Yeah, and I'm able to get her down there and get a armor token. So then I kind of know that at least Vader can't choke R2. So he can't kill R2 and my Smuggler this turn, which is nice.
Right.
And Han kind of got bumped by Ahsoka. He should be behind the wall, but we fix it later. But
Yeah.
he's kind of sitting between the two spots.
All right, there goes the smuggler.
Yep, poor guy's dead.
He got you 2 points, so he kind of evened out on his cost. But usually, you want to see the smugglers get a little more value than that before they die.
Yeah, definitely. And then he has to. He's kind of decide he does check himself here and take the shot first before he moves the Emperor up, which is the right move.
Yeah, New Orders. That's a real spicy one because that's good with both Palpatine for the extra temps and then with Thrawn too, just to mill them and get more power tokens.
Yeah, definitely. That's really strong. And even in some cases, I think you can even reactivate Vader if you're being really conservative.
And that's the one you really want. But I've seen it very difficult to pull that off.
Oh yeah, totally agree.
All right, so we got a dodge. Who was this?
Yeah, this was big.
This was Sabine,
this is on
right?
Sabine. He's using his regular Death Trooper with the weapon with the Emperor's order.
Yeah, so that was good. And I think here he is debating whether to attack her or lightning. And
I really wanted him to attack
Yep.
because then Vader couldn't force choke as well. Her.
Yep, but I think because that Pierce 3 is pretty much useless against Sabine. You're just kind of inviting the dodge, and the weekend's really useful against her. So I think he made the correct choice, and I think he lightnings her, I believe.
Yeah, that was definitely the right idea, the right move, and it weakens her, which I think is a pretty big thing too.
Yep. All right, going into round 2. Or round 3, excuse me.
So this is round 3, and this is where he chokes. I think Ahsoka, and I have one card left, and I really debate on what to discard. And I think I made the right move by throwing it away because I've already drawn my cards. I lose second chance, which is really big later, but I wasn't planning on using R2 to scomp, so it was probably the right call just to lose it.
I see. Yeah, because now he's in danger of dying at the top of the round too, and he does have to take initiative. Now
He does, definitely.
I'm curious though. I don't think he activates. Oh, that's right. So unfortunately, we had some camera issues here. Camera went out for a few minutes during Vader's activation. So what happened was Vader, from where he was, played face to face. He moved 5 spaces and did at least 8 damage. He killed Sabine, right?
Yeah, so he does, and I think the weaken was the big kicker that he was able to get a surge through.
Oh, because she had that evade, and so it didn't matter. Okay.
Yeah, and that was the way he got 8 damage.
Well, he
kind of underrolled.
Oh, he did underroll. Oh, okay, but he is rolling 4 dice, so.
Oh yeah, he has the yellow. Yep. So even with the 4 dice, he's able to push it through and does like exact damage.
All right, now here's that big R2 turn, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So because where you moved him, and because he didn't go with Palpatine first, R2 punishes Vader here with a set for stun. And I just love that. I love it when R2 does that.
Yeah, no, it's super good with the smuggler and R2, and then also, just he's got a ranged attack, and why not do it?
And I'm not saying that Arvydas was wrong to not go with the Palpatine, because taking out your Sabine there, right, was pretty big.
Yeah, like she's focused, and she's a threat. Like that's going to be unmitigated damage. She probably is going to kill a Death Trooper. I'll just run her away.
That's right. She was focused. Yep.
Yeah, and then, but the nice thing is Vader's stunned, and he doesn't run Unshakable.
Right. He doesn't have Unshakable in his list. He only is running Rule by Fear and Zillow Technique.
Yeah, and but I think getting that 7th activation is a huge, perk, and not having just officers as your, like, getting that extra Death Trooper is pretty big.
Mm-hmm. All right, so
and I think he's debating on who to go with because he can kill R2. So he's just trying to decide what activation he should use because now Vader's kind of stunned and sort of stuck where he is.
Right, because he could go with Palpatine here. He could kill R2, Force Lightning Ahsoka, But the problem is he's not gonna. If he goes with Palpatine, he's not getting any value out of Emperor because none of his other figures are in a position to attack.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's kind of a debate there on what to do.
And I think he makes the right call here. He tries to, put some damage on her. Uh, but I've got Ahsoka's card, so I kind of also was really happy to put her,
Oh,
expose
this
her.
one, this part. Okay, yes. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen. He's the elite death troop with 1 health is shooting at Ahsoka. But you had tipped this card at the beginning of the match. I saw this happen. You had like dropped it on the table.
Yeah, on accident. I get really nervous, so I was just shuffling my cards,
Yeah.
and for whatever reason, I shuffled it too hard, and it just flopped out of my hand.
And I swear Arvydas saw it, but either he forgot or he didn't see it because, he walks right into that.
Yeah,
And I think this comes from, earlier in the match, Arvydas was asking a lot of questions about Ahsoka. I think he
yeah,
just doesn't have a lot of experience against her and maybe didn't realize her card. Uh, and so,
definitely. And I actually was pretty excited because both of his Death Troopers were in killable range from it because the
hmm
regular Death Trooper had only 3 health. So either way, I knew I'd get a kill.
I think you did make a mistake there. I think you spent a power token though when you didn't need to. But
Yes, that is totally right. I only needed to do 1 damage.
but it's just so exciting when you get to kill somebody with that card. So
Oh yeah.
so you
And here
go
I
ahead.
step up and I play Element of Surprise, and this is the kind of like the penultimate turn. Like,
Oh
if
yeah.
I possibly could one shot Vader here with Ahsoka, he has 1 defense dice.
Oh, this is a big
I
attack.
actually
This is a
and
huge attack, right? Like
yeah, and I didn't get enough damage to one shot him, so I re-rolled because I knew he had Zillow and can pitch, and I roll into absolute
just
garbage. Just
terrible.
3 surges.
Yeah, and you can't. The blue one is a single hit. On you can't see it. It's off camera. But
Yeah,
and then tough luck comes
and he
out.
plays tough luck.
Oh, takes out the only good die you had, which was the red.
Yep. So I go in 5 dice, 1 defense dice Vader, very possible to
Oh
kill,
man,
and just kind of come away with 1 damage and 3 surges.
because you're rolling 3 dice native. You got the red weapon, and you're focused. You're rolling five
Yeah,
dice. Vader has one less defense dice. He's got a power token, but you ended up only doing 1 damage. I remember
yeah,
watching that and just being like, oh man, like that was terrible.
yeah. And I also get she has the thing that doesn't happen very often, but you can gain a damage power token. So I did get one, which was
Mm-hmm. Bit of a
so
consolation prize there, but
yeah, and I
at least you don't have to worry about parting blow because you stunned Vader.
exactly, yeah.
Because that's always kind of a concern when you go up and run up to Vader to attack him with Ahsoka. Is like, oh crap, is he gonna parting blow me on my way out?
Yeah, because even if you leap away, he's going to be able to get that attack on you.
Yeah, and I've noticed that Ahsoka only deals like 3 or 4 damage to Vader without, with just a regular attack or focus even. But then if you get parting blowed by him, Ahsoka's could be done. So
Exactly, yeah. And he wasn't in lethal range of her card, so I was kind of happy just to use it. And now that threat's gone, so I can't, he can't parting blow me, and then I can't do the last few damage to kill him.
exactly. So you're kind of forming up a box here in your deployment zone.
I really just wanted to get Ahsoka back to where she could be easily focused again
Yes.
and not take pot shots from like Thrawn or his other remaining Death Trooper. But you know what? In the grand scheme of things, that was probably karma because I rolled that extra green die earlier, so
Yeah,
I deserved that low roll.
that's true. I guess. I guess that extra damage went from Ahsoka's attack to Han's attack.
Yeah. And
Um,
then here, I think he uses an officer and just pot shots R2 to death, which, and he body blocks Vader, which is a big play,
yep.
just to keep Han from safely shooting him.
Yep, that was a good play, and that means that Palpatine can start putting those temp tokens somewhere else. Um, it all evens out. So, yeah, good play by Arvidas. He's very good at
Yeah. And he
utilizing.
also has saved the Emperor here, which is sort of what I have to keep considering when
Right.
I'm sitting. what I want to do.
Arvydas very good at using all pieces of the buffalo, if you will. Which, because when I've played VPT and I struggle to really get use out of the smaller figures. What is this?
No, that's exactly right. He's really good at just like he basically has just added 2 or 3 health to Vader and a white die. So I mean that's amazing.
Yep.
Or I really have to overexpose Han and risk Vader's lightning and more shots.
So Arvydas has you under a lot of pressure here, victory point wise. So we see 3PO taking one for the team, going out and doing some errands.
Because the other thing I was worried about is 3PO is very susceptible to the lightning and attempt for a kill. So getting him out of the Emperor's line of sight was a kind of a priority of me too.
Yeah, and that lightning does have a lot of range too. Like it always reaches out just slightly farther than I'm expecting with a range of 4 spaces. So.
Oh yeah, and I've lost many a C3PO to it. So I was sort of like, I'm gonna just try to get some victory points here, and if you want to go, send the Emperor to take down C3PO, that's a trade I'll take, I guess.
Yeah. So good thinking ahead there. Making preparations.
And I think if he uses Thrawn, I have no more cards, so he's only looking at his own deck now.
That's right. You do run out of command cards here. And it is always kind of surprising how quickly you run out of command cards against these Vader Palp Thrawn lists, but they mill you fast.
Oh, yeah.
Just because
because I scomped only once, I think I did get that last... or I scomped twice, and I didn't play planning because I think he milled it once.
Alright, so he's kind of collapsing his figures into the middle around Vader.
Yeah, there's a lot of guns there. And also, I think that Thrawn, if let's say I throw Han up to try to shoot Vader early, Thrawn would have line of sight on Han since I have to go so far south to take a shot.
Yes, so he's moving his Thrawn in a way that he can now get some value from that Emperor ability on Palpatine when he does activate him.
And here because I need to get Han in the fight, I use Gideon to shove up Han here. And I'm sort of considering, do I want to keep body blocking? But I sort of am like, I just need to run Gideon back a little bit. He can focus people from the back still.
Right. And Thrawn always giving out power tokens. He gave 3. He's always got a surge on himself, and then he's usually putting defensive power tokens onto the rest of his list, usually Vader and Palpatine.
Yes, he's definitely... so I think Vader has basically been given like 4 or 5 defense tokens as the game has gone on here.
Yep, and that's one of the list strengths, is just how tanky everything is.
Oh yeah. And he's also sort of protecting Thrawn the other way with his other Death Trooper, so if I run Han up 8, I probably won't be able to end around or one-shot anybody.
Yep, very good positioning from Arvydas. So Emperor activating, I believe he tempted 3PO. Yep.
Yeah, he definitely did. Yep, I remember that.
And the dark energy play to move Han into lightning range.
Yes.
Which at least doesn't deal any damage to your other figures, but he is whittling down Han now at 5 health left.
Thankfully, the only thing that I had lucky here was that I think the Emperor was blocking Thrawn's line of sight to Han.
I see, and he didn't really have a way to move Han up without blocking him, like, because if he had done Emperor first, Han was out of line of sight. So
Yeah, it's definitely a really good move there, and he's also weakened Han, which
But your Han is focused and has a yellow weapon die, so the weakened's not too bad for you.
that is true. I keep forgetting his yellow die.
It does reduce your max damage though. Like if you wanted to really high roll, you'd need to get more damage pips.
Yeah.
But and then so he does play Force Surge and really just pushing as much non-attack damage onto Han as he can, right?
Yes, yeah. So now Han is, basically can die from even any, an officer shot can kill Han if he blanks, and
Yeah, and he's
or
also he's also pushed a figure into Han's kind of face that you weren't working on killing right at that moment.
yeah, Palpatine has taken no damage, which is, again, it's like 13 more health for Vader.
Yeah, he's tanky. Like he's only 3 less health than Vader. I believe he still has Zillow. I mean, he can discard for Zillow. Zillow doesn't really do anything against Han, but you can discard to it.
Exactly, yeah. So it's a lot of health. Um,
You've also got to be worried about parting blow. Or no, can he use parting? Can Palpatine use parting blow?
he can parting blow. He definitely can.
Is he a brawler?
Attack.
You know,
Oh, sorry, he can't parting blow. He can dying lunge.
dying lunge. Yeah, I always get those mixed up now. But because when I was watching your game, I thought, oh man, he's gonna parting blow, and if you parting blows, you can't on the lamb.
Yeah, and I do a pretty decent roll into the Emperor here. I don't think it was quite max, but it was pretty close. Yeah, it was a great roll.
So, and why not just move 2 then to attack Vader?
That was actually, I think, a mistake. I should have taken the shot on Vader and run away,
Okay.
but I kind of got so blindsided by the Emperor being in my face. It's like, I've got to kill the Emperor now.
Okay, so you use Hera. You got a really good hit on Palp, 8 damage. He discards Parting Blow for Zillow. And again, I'm
Yeah.
watching this game, and in my mind, I'm like, wait, Palp can use Parting Blow, and even though now I know he can't. So I thought he was trying to bluff you here, and that he had a second one in his hand, and he was trying to lure you into moving away.
Yeah. The nice thing was at this point I did have on the lamb and slippery, but you can't use on the lamb on your turn.
Right.
Um,
Which is yeah, that's right. It's why it's Parting Blow is especially dangerous when Han is activating.
yeah.
And right now Han's at 3 health left, so pretty much anything will kill him. I mean a Palpatine
again,
attack only does like 3 damage on average, but
it's definitely lethal damage.
yep.
And again, like I should have taken the shot on Vader. I think I was a little worried about him having 2 dice and not being able to hit because I needed to do basically 7 damage through his armor. So I think maybe that was part of my calculus that I was just like, I don't think I can shoot him with Han.
Right, because if you wanted an end of round attack, you would have to leave him exposed.
Yeah.
But you didn't move
And
away.
here he takes a shot, and I should have. I sort of like was like, wait, can you have line of sight up to Han? So I should have not even doubted this, but I had the judge come over, and I was just like, is this actually a shot? I just thought the Emperor was blocking.
It's a super tight shot, and it does look questionable, even to my eyes. And I think I put up the calculator here, the Nick Hansen one, and you can see it like just barely fits through multiple corridors. It's kind of one of those.
It's a great idea, and this guy has a blue weapon, so
Yep.
I think with the 3 range, he basically has min range of 5, which is pretty close. I think he needs 7.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
It's because you count
that's
movement.
super
so 1,
tight.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a range 8 shot,
So it's a range 8 shot.
which is pretty far because I mean, he's got I guess that's right. He's got a blue weapon, so that's a 5 minimum.
And I did have Lamb here, which made me a little bit more confident of
Okay.
like I'm not going to die, at least from this shot, so I might as well just see what happens.
Yep. And he's denying your return fire too because he's hidden behind that wall.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so we're just sitting here debating if he has line of sight. I'm just trying to, and I think the guy even brings out a laser, but
Yeah, that was. I gave you guys a laser. I was like, oh, they're gonna need
yeah,
this. But yeah,
yeah.
we had the judge. You guys had the judge come over and double check. But so what was the reason for not moving Han back after he attacked during his activation?
I think my one, because I had slippery target and I had lamb, I kind of wanted to at least keep getting shots. I was worried if I moved back, I wouldn't see the Emperor. I think maybe he had an officer who hadn't gone yet. I don't remember. I was just worried about body blocking shots.
I
So
see. Yeah. So if because he could have then body blocked the Emperor and kept making you split your fire.
yeah, and
So
I've already split my fire. So, and I think he misses range here. He's just short.
yeah,
I didn't.
yeah, he missed range. I didn't even put the dice up there, but yeah, he misses. He misses by one.
Yeah, and it would have been a lethal hit if unless Han dodged.
Right.
And then I move Hera up, which this is actually
So you're
a
body
big
blocking
mistake.
for Han, right?
Yes, but I don't I stop body blocking after I take the shot, which I
Oh,
really should have stayed. So that was one of my mistakes. There was I was like really debating what to do, like where to take the shot, uh, and she should have stayed there because that would have kept another person. It's like 7 health for Han basically.
and it's funny because again in my head this all looks like parting blow dancing, where you're like not wanting to move adjacent to him, but of course you can't parting blow, and that probably wasn't even a
Yeah,
factor in your head, right?
yeah. I wasn't even thinking about the parting blow. But again I was a little worried about dying lunge, but I should have been thinking like, hey, she's not gonna one shot the Emperor. And then I think I move her up, and then I changed my mind here. Let's see.
It
Yeah, I
looks like
changed
she
my
did like
mind.
two
Yeah,
damage to him, which is about right for a non-specter celled Hera.
yeah. And I should have definitely kept her in front of Han there, but that was one of my positioning mistakes in the game. Was I was really thinking like torn between do I put her in front? Um, kind of see me thinking there.
Yeah, it looks like you
So
did.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I retreated really far back.
Probably just thinking, trying to preserve points.
That was my other thought. Well, I was nervous, but really I should have been like, hey, Han is a 10-point sink. That he's the more important gun to keep alive.
But you still have On the Lamb in your hand.
Yep, I do.
You have Slippery Target in your hand, right?
Yes.
So, you know, you got options to keep him alive. You can't protect them both, though.
But again, the unmitigatable damage has been what it
That's true.
should have been really. Yeah.
But you do kill the Emperor here, I believe.
Yeah. And then I think this is where he plays Dying Lunge.
Yep. And again, it's good that that Dying Lunge is coming out outside of Han's activation. Because if it had come out when Han activated, you would be in big trouble.
Yes.
Because I made this mistake at the regionals where I forgot that you can't use On the Lamb during your own activation.
Yeah, it doesn't have the desired effect. You don't get the free movement
You
points.
can't move your figure. Yep. But you dodge it.
Yes, this was a big dodge because it keeps my lamb out
Yep.
as an option.
And now you've gotten rid of a big source of indirect damage from Palpatine because, you know, Han was a Force Lightning away from dying there.
Yeah.
And you know that you're getting initiative next round because Arvydas has already played Take. So you're kind of
Yep.
guaranteed the start of round activation.
And this is where like Ahsoka is awesome because you can kind of run her away and she still can hop right back in.
Yep, she's so mobile.
And hopefully I rolled the correct amount of dice here. I'm a little nervous.
And because you stunned Vader, you took away his driven by hatred. He's totally, totally unable to do anything with that card because he can't move and he can't attack. He could have choked, but he doesn't have line of sight to anybody.
Yeah, the body blocking in this case hurt him, but it also, and I think I was doing kind of trying to do math in my head, and I'm deciding, and I'm also trying to pick who, should I use Han? And I'm like, I don't think Han can kill him.
Okay, yeah, this was a big turn. The Ahsoka instead of the Han.
So I use Ahsoka because I'm pretty sure she has the damage token and the red die, and the pierce, so she could possibly get the 6 damage I need to kill Vader, while Han doesn't have pierce. He has a yellow weapon, has lower max damage.
But Ahsoka was in a safe place with very little damage on her, and Han is out in the open, almost dead, right? So
yeah, and I do really roll really well here. I like after this happened, we realized that we slightly miscalculated. He should have taken 6, but Arvydas had the spare card to discard anyway.
Right. So yeah, you guys miscounted. It would have been lethal, but since Arvydas didn't have to discard for this attack, he could have discarded, and he had plenty of cards to spare.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have died anyway.
So I was 1 short. I ended up doing basically 5 damage instead of the 6 I need.
So he exhausts the Zillow for the pierce, but doesn't discard to it.
Yeah. But he did have enough cards, and he had extra cards after he does his next move anyway. So
yep.
Like,
yeah, he has like 4 cards in hand right now.
Yeah.
He ends up playing.
I think it kind of came up after Han died. People brought it up, but it totally, I actually rolled that one die. He, we both bathed it out wrong. He said 5, and I agreed with him because I was thinking he would have pitched.
Well,
so.
And I saw you counted twice. I saw you counting the damage twice. I think I counted it, although I was probably paying attention to my camera. So
yeah.
You leave Vader at 1 health left. He's still stunned, but he has Price of Glory.
Exactly. And this is where me moving Hera away was actually a huge mistake, because if she was in front of Han right now,
oh yeah,
he wouldn't have been able to get line of sight to Han unless he stood beside him, and then I could have slipperied around the corner. So this was what I watched the video afterwards. I was like, oh no. Yeah. So yep, force rush, Price of Glory.
Yeah. So a stunned Vader turns into an unstunned Vader with 4 extra movement points. Quite the nightmare.
Yes, and he plays around slippery here, which was awesome because I could have, if he walked by Ahsoka, slipperied in front of Han. So what he does is he kind of moves diagonally around her and then chokes Han to kill.
I see. I did not even notice that because I didn't realize you had slippery. So that is very impressive by Arvydas for playing around that. Because he does, and he also doesn't even bother to attack.
Yep, just do the force choke. I have no cards to soak it up.
That's what it was. Yeah, you had completely run out of cards in your deck, so you couldn't prevent that 3rd damage from the force choke.
Yeah. And this is where if Hera had been in front of Han, what like I originally thought of.
And it looks like he did that movement because that would get him deep into that corner pocket with his 8 movement points. So takes out Han. Yes.
It's perfect. So he walks, avoids slippery blocking Han, and then he force chokes Han, and then hides him. So now there's no way I can.
Oh man.
Yeah. So end around shot because Han's gone.
Yep. And if you had gone with Han first instead of Ahsoka, you probably could have gotten Ahsoka up to kill Vader, right?
So where she was back behind the corner, he could have run him all the way into like his back corner.
Oh yeah,
like Jason. And there were places that she could not get to, so I kind of took the risk and was like, well, if Ahsoka can kill him, Ahsoka can kill him, and I concede here because there's no way I can kill Vader and catch up on points now.
Okay. So you still think that going with Ahsoka was the right play there first instead of Han?
Yeah, I think I didn't actually math it out with the yellow weapon afterwards versus the red weapon, but I think Ahsoka had maybe the slightly better chance to do it. I'd have to do the math again after this just to see. But
Yeah, because she has the stronger surge abilities. She has more dice. She has a better. She has a reroll. Han doesn't get hit by Zillow as hard, but I think,
yeah,
yeah,
and I could have used a defensive re-rolled all of his dice, but he rolled I think 2 block and a surge cancel. So if I re-roll all his dice, he could re-roll into something better. So he just I think re-rolled his one surge cancel into something else.
yep. Well, that was a really great
Yeah, but it was an
match.
awesome game. Arvydas did great, and
Yeah,
it was
I
really fun to play.
you guys both played great. It was really impressive play. Nice to see a non-specter match going on in the top 16, top 8. Again, congratulations on making top 8. I think I said you were a top 16 finisher, but you were a top 8 finisher at Worlds, and that's a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you. I I appreciate you also taking all the time to like film all this and doing commentary. And please support this man on Patreon, guys. He's doing a great job and great stuff for our community. So
Oh, thanks, Steve. It was good to see you there. It was good to see everybody at Worlds. Is there anything else you want to say about the match? We can jump around if you want.
you know, I think other than my few positioning stuff, like not blocking Han there at the end with Hera, kind of risking Sabine was the other big mistake I made when I
Mm,
he did kill my negation. I think after I kind of committed her, and I maybe should have tried to go later with her and see if I possibly could have drawn negation.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, but that 4C and the planning at the beginning, he definitely. I was really afraid of the parting blow combo and just had to play around it like the whole game, which made me play, I think, a little more conservatively. But I think he did really well, and he took advantage of the body blocking to and the unmitigatable damage to really kind of bully me around a little bit with Vader.
Yeah, and he was very good at being assertive without overextending.
Yes, definitely, and it just shows you like how kind of the cool meta that I hope could be there if Spectre Cell is maybe not as prevalent. I'm still fine with Spectre Cell being around, for the record. I definitely was very dominant force and just kind of twisted everybody's thinking to counter it.
Yep, it was quite the list at Worlds, and will be until FFG does something about it, I think.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll hear our cries of anguish and maybe we'll see an errata. Worst case scenario, errata at least to maybe lower its power level a little bit.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, man. Well, thank you very much.
thank you, Steve. Really appreciate you coming on, and have a good night.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you.
All right, signing off. Hey, wait, don't think I forgot about you guys. Last week, I announced that I would be doing giveaways on my Worlds videos for people who left comments, and today it's time to announce 2 of our winners. So, for the 2 videos that were posted a week ago, we have the announcement video that was my personal reflection of Worlds, and the winner is Stuart Kane. Stuart says, "Thanks for the content, glad you had fun, and so jealous of all the people who got to go." Well, Stuart, I am sad you didn't get to go, but I know FFG didn't exactly make it easy for people. Stuart chose Rebels in his comment, so he will be getting an IACommand Drakata alt art with exclusive artwork by Jay Reynolds here in Portland. Thank you, Stuart. And on our raw, unedited Worlds Finals video, the winning comment is from David Buren, who I had the pleasure of meeting and interviewing at Worlds. David says, "It is so nice to be able to see the game and what they were thinking. Thank you for doing this." Well, you are welcome, David. I'm so happy to be able to provide this service for this amazing gaming community. And David chose Mercenaries, and since I know David got the exact same Worlds promo as I did for participating, I will be sending him an IACommand Alt Art Black Market card as soon as they arrive from the printers. I'll be contacting both of you soon in order to get shipping information for those. And to all the rest of you, remember to keep leaving those comments on the video so you can win too. And I still have Worlds promos left to give away. Alright, see you next time.